Welcome, everybody, to Megadads Live, episode 121. We are so glad that you're here. It's the last episode before the big Megadads holiday special, and we've got a couple more games that we think you should put underneath your Christmas tree, in your stocking, or in your hard drive. Today, we're talking all about Super Mario RPG and Star Ocean Second Story R. I think I got that name right. It's going to be a great show, so strap in. This is Megadads Live. Megadads Live is a mature-rated podcast. It's for the Megadads, the Mega Moms, but not the Mega Kids, so put on those earmuffs and let's go!
We were at the mall, right? And we're like walking around, and all of a sudden we go in this entrance that I had never been in before. It's the second floor, okay? We walk in, and it's me, my wife, my daughter. She's cute as a button. She's 3. She's dressed up. Everybody's complimenting her. She's just like twirling, there's little birds around, things
all
like
going
that.
To her head.
Yeah, it's just she's having the best time, and we've just entered the mall like 30 seconds ago. Bam! There's a balcony on the second floor looking down. Guess who's there? Christopher Kringle, the big man. He's there, and he has the whole like setup. They have a huge Christmas tree. Santa Claus is right there doing his thing, doing his ho-hoing and stuff. And then you have this, huge line, because they're taking pictures. And my daughter stops, runs over to the balcony, looks down and says, Santa! And no one's screaming in this mall. It's surprisingly chill. And the echo, the reverberation of like the glass and the walls was perfect. Throughout
the windows at Macy's start shattering.
This whole mall could hear exactly what she said, crystal clear. Here's Santa's big mistake. Oh, hello. Looks up, right?
Oh, God.
Starts talking to her.
They open dialogue?
Open dialogue. And I get it. You're Santa. You're trying to do your best. You're trying to earn your best, $12.75 an hour that you possibly can. So he's there and he answers, right? Yeah. Big mistake. What's my big mistake, right? I say, oh, Lily, no. And I'm like stopping her. Because I'm like, this is a little inappropriate. You can't just be shouting down at the mall, doing the parent thing,
There's
right?
etiquette.
Yeah. I do that. Mistake. She starts talking again over me. I'm like, okay, she's not listening right away. But she's like, hey, how are you doing today? Second mistake. Santa starts talking back. But he cuts me off. Cutting her, telling her to calm down. So it's now I don't want to be the dad that's stopping his child.
Everybody's
from having a moment. Everyone's attention is on us. The Cinnabon guy's looking up. He's like, everything is crystal clear. Yeah. So then they start talking, and now he doesn't want to be rude because they've been going back and forth for about 15, 20 seconds. She's asking him all appropriate questions. Where's the reindeer? Like the usual stuff.
Your daughter basically budged in line.
Cut this line. Now I have 200 kids and parents looking up, and she basically got her time with Santa, and he didn't want to stop because everyone would have been like, oh. And then he stops, after like a little bit. And then of all she has to do is be like, can I please have a pony with a whatever? And okay, like, let's talk, get in line. Like, it was amazing. She cut the whole line. We skipped 2 hours of
So
waiting.
You didn't even go down there then?
Why would I, Adam?
Yeah.
They had a full conversation. My daughter's got VIP access via the balcony. She's got like the good seats, and it was just completely inappropriate. And I actually filmed some of it. I hope I can get some of this because after a while I gave up and I was like, this is hilarious. And I just started pulling out my phone and getting the conversation. So I got receipts. I got digital proof.
Wow.
That hopefully makes it into some content, because that's what life is about.
You didn't even need the lap.
It was great. Didn't need the lap. You don't need to sit there and waste everybody's time. So moral of the story is just have your kid be like, go ahead, just start shouting at them. Go ahead. You don't have to wait in this line. Just keep shouting.
Cause a scene.
Yeah.
And it'll be awkward enough.
Cause a scene. Just start crying.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for your trip to the mall when your daughter is no longer 3 and she's like 16.
Oh
I want to see how
no.
that conversation takes place then.
It's wild. It's a magical time, isn't it? Isn't it? You're just walking around spending money that you don't have. I love it.
I was very like Elliot is 9, and I was very convinced that this was the year, right? Like he's figuring stuff. He's asking questions. He's starting to get a little wise. And we took him to Santa, and it's the same Santa we've taken him to since he was born. The exact same guy at the same place. It's amazing, right? How lucky are you to get the same stock Santa year after year? And so we took him, and I figured he's humoring Nora, like he's just being the good big brother. And afterwards, we went to the mall, like I was talking about, and he realized that what he had written on his list was the wrong Lego set. And he starts melting down. He's like, well, Christmas is ruined. And I'm like, why? What's the matter? And he's like, I told Santa the wrong Lego set. It's this and not that, and Christmas is ruined.
Yeah, I hear that.
And like deep down inside, I'm like, yes, I get one more year, right? And I'm like, well, do you want me to call Santa? Do you want me to send him? No, it's just ruined. And like he was super pissed, and deep down inside, I was incredibly happy. What's your experience with Santa, Chris? You got any great Santa stories?
No, I've kind of got the same situation that you have, where we've had the same Santa, but my son's he's 5, so it's only been, I guess, 3 years, but he still recognizes him and stuff. But yeah, I mean, our thing is when we go, they take the appointments and stuff. So we're the people that are there before Santa's there. We're standing in line, even though we have appointments. We're the first people in line, and just, like we get to watch Santa come down the escalator, which is like kind of a magic in and of itself to watch your. My youngest daughter doesn't know what's going on yet. She's only 6 months, but yeah, I mean, he's just beaming at Santa as he's coming down the escalator, and yeah, I look forward to, that Santa being, he's a great Santa. He's a great Santa. He looks the part. He looked a little skinny this year. I don't know. I mean, hey, listen, I'm all for being healthy, but listen, you got a role to fill here. Let's not,
like, what do you think you're doing?
Let's not take it too far there, bud.
Yeah, can you step it up, big guy? Come on.
Yeah, you do your keto diet in June, but you get back on that. You get back on the bandwagon by at least October.
I think there's something glorious about like the entrance of Santa wherever he is. Like you said, he's coming down the escalator. Like Santa's supposed to arrive in like a magic flying sleigh. For us, it's like Santa came in a cop car, and it's just like
out the back. They're like undo the cuffs. They're like, you got 2 hours.
He's got dry vomit in his beard.
Community service. That's good that you got a fresh Santa. Like being the first is important, because if you got the last kid with the Santa, that Santa's soggy. He is.
Yeah, that's true. He is like done for the day. I mean, the biggest issue we had was just like they couldn't get the camera to work. So I mean, we had to wait there.
They do that thing where they make you pay for photos, kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's quite the racket. I don't ask how much it costs, because I'd probably be like, listen, I'll dress up as Santa. We'll take pictures on iPhones. We'll be fine.
Normal Americans.
We want to get to know our people during Mega Dads. We want to feel connected with each other, and there's nothing better than a quick get to know you question. Quick get to know you for today is, you had mentioned, Adam, that your son, 9 years old, still keeping the magic alive. I just want to state clearly that Mega Dads is for parents, not kids. However, Santa is real, 100%, and that's the fact. So your son understands that Santa exists, and he's 9. How do you manage that at 9? Like, he's almost old enough to vote. So my quick question is, how do you keep the magic alive? Like, my wife is king, queen, whatever. She's master of this. She put because there was no snow this year, so what ended up happening, she's like, there's got to be the usual snow. So she put baby powder on the floor and made little boot prints going from the chimney over to the cookies, and then the cookies, ate them, but not with her mouth, bought a Santa size like denture. So it would
What?
be an imprint. I'm just
Where
kidding
do you
about
buy
that.
that?
I'm kidding about the denture thing. I'm kidding about the denture thing, but the fakes, I mean the snow, the magic snow was real. So that's one of the ways that we keep the magic alive. And we actually, there's another way where if Santa, can't make it because he's busy, we do have one of his stand-ins come and help us out. So we keep the magic alive that way. Adam, what are you doing to keep your 9-year-old completely aware of this completely factual situation?
Right. All right. Well, here's the thing. First of all, you guys are way overthinking it. This is not an episode of CSI. Kids are stupid generally, and you really don't have to do that much at all. You throw on Elf one night, and you're good for like another year. You know what I'm saying? Like my children, I'm very much open to what they take the lead. Is what I guess I want to say. If they are showing some doubts, I'll be ready for that moment when it arrives. But they take the reins on the entire experience. So if they believe, then we just lean into it with, we encourage it. We do the lists and all that stuff. My son used to do it. He used to do the sweetest thing when he was like 5 or 6. He used to build this little Lego house that he would put in his bedroom for the elves that would come in the middle of the night and check on him to see if he's good or bad. And we used to put like little M&Ms in this Lego house and things like that. Tell him that the elf came in the middle of the night. But by and large, what I've come to experience in 9 years of being a parent is that kids are just really dumb. And you don't have to do a lot of work, which has made my life a lot easier.
At first, I'm like, you have super gullible kids, but then the more you talked about it, it was more like they're very joyful. Like they want to believe.
Yeah.
So they're just happy. Yep. They're not like dumb as rocks. They're just very, very bright side type people, would you say?
Well, yeah, we are an extremely fun house. I mean, look at the room that I'm recording in. I am surrounded by toys. I am a 43-year-old man who is just drenched in statues, action figures, and collectibles. Like, we live a life that is play and imagination and fun. So it doesn't surprise me. I will say that looking back on my own childhood, I remember I was entirely too old. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I was entirely too old, and I got royally pissed
26.
off at my mom when I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I didn't
drove
take it
away
well.
in your car. You're like, I'm taking the car. I'm going.
I'm moving out,
This
Mom.
sucks.
This is bull crap.
What do you think,
21 years old.
Chris? How do you keep the magic alive?
My oldest is 5.5, so I'm scared for the day. This is almost everything though, like everything he believes in. I'm like, somebody's gonna take it away at school.
Yeah,
That's where it's gonna happen.
Yes.
I hate that.
Nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of accept that it's gonna happen, but for now, like he's all in. I'm gonna be crushed when it happens, because like then it's like when that happens, it's like what I imagine it is, because I haven't gone through it yet. I imagine it's like the first step of saying goodbye to that childhood innocence that I absolutely adore in my kids.
Yeah.
Just their naivety and their ignorance to the world. I'm just like, yes, let's keep that forever, because I don't want you to be exposed to what this really is.
I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. Ignorance is bliss. Like the world's terrible. Like the more they believe that like truth and goodness like exists, like that's gonna be keep it going.
I will say that if either of you make me cry today, I'm going to end the podcast.
You've been on the edge since we started, so.
All right, Chris, I'm very excited to hear about both of your games. Let's talk about Super Mario RPG first.
Yeah. If there's a lot of people that are like, we need more new IP, we need to make more new games. The last 4 games I've played it's been a reboot in Lords of the Fallen, It's been a remake with Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's been a remake with Super Mario RPG, and it's been a remake with Star Ocean: The Second Story R. So it's me. I'm the problem. I'm sorry.
No, I'm right there with you. I say remake all of it.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because if you want new games, no. Listen, Super Mario RPG. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So I go into this with tons of nostalgia. The original came out on the Super Nintendo. Super Mario RPG: The Legend of the Seven Stars. It was a combination effort between Nintendo and Square Soft, I think at the time, SquareSoft. Yeah. And it kicked off the Mario RPG. Every game that's come out since. And this one is true to form. It looks stunning. It is bright. It is colorful. It's what my brain sees when I think back to the first time I played Super Mario RPG. It looks clean. It looks polished. They've added some cutscenes at certain parts which add even more life and flavor. They've added a couple other gameplay elements that are kind of nice, kind of like group attacks and things like that. But for the most part, it is the base game again, just all pretty looking. I played Super Mario RPG, the Super Nintendo version, because it came out on the Super Nintendo, the mini system that they released a number of years ago. Yeah. So I actually streamed that all the way through probably 2.5 years ago.
Oh, so this is fresh in your mind.
It is, yeah. So it was something. It's something to behold as I go through. Because one thing that I realized the last time I played it is the game's shorter than I thought. Not necessarily to its detriment. It's easier than I thought.
Yeah.
And I think what this game along those lines, I think what this game could be is if you have somebody who you want to introduce this genre to, this is ideal for baby's first RPG. A lot of the mechanics are pretty well explained. I think the main mechanic is it's got kind of it's turn-based system, but it has the ability for you to incorporate different button presses to strengthen your attacks, or to get some added benefits from your special moves and things like that. It's nothing too complex. It's well explained, and I think it's made easier in the remake than it was in the original, the SNES version. But yeah, if you have kids that want to get into Super Mario RPG, or what you want to introduce them to the idea of turn-based RPGs, I cannot think of a better place to direct them. It's been, I haven't beaten it yet. I'm very close. It's not spoilery because the original game was The Legend of the Seven Stars. There's 7 stars. I've got 6 of them. And yeah, there might be a couple of things that have been added that weren't in the base game, but nothing super, nothing game changing. This is still the base game. I think it's a really well done remake.
Go ahead, Antonio.
Oh, I have a question. I really need a challenge in my RPGs, and I understand that that's not really what's going on here. I mean, a Nintendo, right? A Mario S game, so it being easier would be fine. I really like at least being active in the battles and having to hit that button right at the correct time for offense and defense boosts. So that's great. Did you ever play Final Fantasy VIII and know Zell and his limit break, where you'd have to input button presses and it would execute different moves? Have you played?
Yeah, I think it was kind of the same thing as Sabin in Final Fantasy VI, where you'd almost input Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat combos.
Yeah,
right?
I really enjoy stuff like that. Or some RPGs have it where there's a ring and you have to stop the thing on time, like a roulette system, even anything like that. I just feel like the timing the button is that the extent of the active combat. Because I played Thousand Year Door recently. On the the Nintendo Online through access. And is it just that simple? Just you're always hitting the one button.
It's not just that. I would say that's going to be about 90% of your interactions on the offensive end. So all of the characters have different weapons, so they also then will have different animations. So you're kind of learning when you're supposed to hit that button. They'll have like an exclamation point that'll pop up. Same thing on the defensive end, because you can also try to nullify some of the damage you receive. So you're learning enemy attack animations to decide when to hit the button. But some of your special moves, some of the other interactions would be rotating the thumbstick as quickly as you can, or mashing the A button, or holding the A button. I'm trying to think if there's any. I think those are the only other 3 interactions that you'll have based on the special ability that you're using. But it's nothing too complex. You're not going to be inputting a sequence of button presses or anything. There's no combo gameplay or anything like that. It's still pretty laid back, but it does add. It's a layer beyond simply picking something from a menu and attacking.
I think for what it is, it looks fantastic, and if you're nostalgic for it, then you're not going to be disappointed. That's what you would say, right?
Yeah, and even going further along what I'd said before about it being kind of baby's first RPG, I'm playing on normal mode. They instituted a breezy mode, which I think is nice. Yeah. So there can be some complexities to some of the combat. There's elemental strengths, there's elemental weaknesses, there's things like that. So for people that aren't accustomed to those kind of RPG mechanics, there is an even simpler difficulty mode too as well to engage with.
I don't know why Thousand Year Door appeals to me more. Have you played both?
I've not played Thousand Year Door yet, but I'm really excited that they're also remaking that.
Oh, are they? Okay, I must.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Was I love the fact that Nintendo, in their AAA in-house category, is starting to remake these games and not just republish them, but like they're remaking them. That's what gets me excited, because Thousand Year Door, I love Mario RPG. I think I only played it way back in the day when it first came out. I don't think I've played it since. So I'm almost going to be approaching it as brand new because cobwebs. But I have so much fondness for Thousand Year Door. I am so excited for that game. I just love the fact that Nintendo's getting in on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I Super Mario RPG, I played it back when it first came out. I think it took me until Color Splash Paper Mario Color Splash to even realize that Paper Mario was kind of the continuation of Super Mario RPG. If I'd have known that, I'd have been all in from the jump. I would have played. I've played a little bit of Paper Mario just because it's available on Nintendo Switch Online, and I don't know if the nostalgia is just not there for me. But I've lost steam on that. But I am excited to get into Thousand Year Door, and then the rest of the Paper Mario games. And I think, was it Mario and Luigi, that series as well?
Yeah.
Bowser's Inside Story. I think that has some sort of that kind of branched off from this as well. So
you will love if you don't love Thousand Year Door, then I don't know what to say, because honestly it's one of my favorite RPGs ever. It's just brilliant. It's got that awesome weird humor that I think these Mario RPG games are so good at. It like pokes fun at itself, and it's just kind of dry and stupid. And it's got a great cast of characters, awesome environments that you go to. I'm very excited to play Mario RPG. I'm very excited that Nintendo is starting to remake their games proper. It makes me excited for like what that next step in Nintendo is going to be once they get like theoretically a really great hardware in the next iteration. What they could do with remakes, we talk about all these other remakes that we're playing and how fantastic they look, and you play it and it's like, oh, this is how I remember it, even though it's not what it was. Has me very, very excited.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another remake. This is a game that I never played, and I've heard it's a fantastic old school RPG. Talk about Star Ocean.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go from the Super Nintendo, and then we'll go one generation beyond and PlayStation 1 style. I owned the original Star Ocean back in the day, and I convinced myself that I love Star Ocean. Absolutely. I played this game, and I don't know if I ever made it more than 3 hours into the game. But I remember those first 3 hours really well. So well, in fact, that every time a new Star Ocean is announced, I get irrationally excited, and I have to wait for my brain to like catch up and be like, you don't even like these games. And I'm like, you're right, I'm an idiot, I'm sorry. Basing all my hype on the first 3 hours of Star Ocean, the Second Story R. That being said, Star Ocean, the Second Story R is again a remake of the PS1 game, and this is the first time I've seen it through. I've rolled credits on it.
Wow.
Played it all the way through. And I had a great time with it. The thing that always held me up is as somebody who grew up in what I consider kind of the golden age SNES PS1 era. That's to me, that's the golden age of RPGs. Just gems left and right. Squaresoft was pumping out everything they touched. Everything they did was gold. We had all kinds of good stuff. Star Ocean, to my younger self, they did everything right except the combat. Action combat didn't make any sense to me back in the day because I grew up playing Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Lufia, all of this stuff that was straight up traditional turn-based. So when I sat down with Star Ocean and we're getting into it, and I'm exploring and I'm having conversations and the world looks beautiful, and I'm like, yes, this is the next best thing ever. And then I get in my first combat thing and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's telling me to run around, it's telling me to mash buttons. I don't understand. Getting into the remake, I had that same thing hit me. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot about this combat. But the combat grew on me as the game went on. The combat gets insane. And I think as a gamer, as games have veered away from turn-based and gone more action, it's kind of instilled in me the idea that this is coming. Action games are just something that I have to kind of be more open to now, where when I was a kid, I was like, no, I'll play anything else. There's turn-based games all over the place. But going into it with the approach that I want to see it through to the end and kind of dealing with the combat in the beginning, by the end I found the combat kind of engaging, and it does this thing near the end. I wouldn't say it's spoilery, but for Persona 5, you get this ability later on in the game that lets you kind of run through combat. You if you're X number of levels ahead of enemies on the world map, you can just run right through them. It doesn't stop you for combat. You get the XP. It understands you're overpowered. It's not going to waste your time. This game has that same mechanic, which is awesome when you're exploring. I was going through final dungeons and I was so overpowered. I wasn't having to do any of the fighting. I was just accruing experience by running through these enemies.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because even if I didn't mind the combat that much, I still had my fill. Like, it's still, 20-hour experience where I'm, the combat it did wear on me a little bit. So that was one thing that helped me get through. But the music in this game is amazing. I won't say it's well written. The story is interesting, but the dialogue, it's rough. It's got that that old school Japanese to English. It's
a product of its time.
Tough to listen to sometimes, especially with voice acting.
It does have VO.
It does. It's fully voice acted all the way through. I think there might be some of the main people that you talk to in town and stuff is not, but a lot of the interactions that you have with the characters are fully voiced. And I think the voice acting is good and strong. I just don't think some of the characters are written very well. But it's got a fun different characters that you can recruit based on your playthrough. You can't recruit everybody. You only have a maximum number of people, so you have to make decisions as to who you want to bring with you on this, adventure and stuff like that. And it goes to some interesting places. It's of the two remakes that I've played, Super Mario RPG I think is my favorite of the two, but I was surprised that Star Ocean kind of grabbed me as well as it did. Another bold thing. I think that going forward, every remake of Super Nintendo and PS1 games should utilize Star Ocean, the Second Story R, and not Octopath. Octopath Traveler, I think those games look amazing. I think they really do. But there's something temporary about it. I don't know what it is, but I'm already over Octopath because I think that art style, while initially awe-inspiring, wears out its welcome kind of quick. To me, the way that they did the perspective in Star Ocean, there's something just so much more pleasing about it. It can kind of, I think I think of a game like Chrono Trigger, which I would love a remake of, and I was like, Chrono Trigger needs to use Octopath Traveler. It's common sense. And then I saw this, and I'm like, nope, it needs to use Star Ocean.
So what is the difference for those that don't really know?
So I guess it still would be what they term as HD 2D. I think that they put less of a reliance on the pixelation though in Star Ocean, where it looks like more it looks like more 3D environments kind of tilt shifted. But in the opening village, there's this big long road that leads into the town, and as you're walking down the road, as you get closer to the town itself just feels like it comes to life in front of you. The background, the buildings in the background just kind of bring themselves more into view, and it just feels like you're in the village more, like you're entering something. And it's even though Octopath kind of has that same 2D perspective type thing, you still feel like a bystander. Something about Star Ocean, I guess I should mention too, Gemdrops is the developer, and they did an amazing job. Tri-Ace was the original developer of the PS1 game, but Gemdrops did this, and I think they did an amazing job of. There's some level of immersion that you get with this game that I don't think you get in any of the other HD 2D games that I've seen. It's hard to explain, but if you watch, if you watch a video of playing as Claude Arena, the main characters, and exiting and entering the town as the town gets. Not just that town, but other towns where there's a castle in the background, just watching it loom over you as you walk around. There's something really just stunning about it. It never gets old.
Yeah, it kind of calls to mind that feeling of playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, where it just, I don't know, there's something about the overlooking, but yet being more on the level of the players and not hanging above as the way all that isometric Super Nintendo stuff was. It just, I don't know, it seems more, the scope seems so much grander.
I love HD 2D. It's fantastic. Give me more. This version is really great.
Yeah, it doesn't translate to every part of the game though. I will say some of the dungeons that you go through, they get pretty samey. There's nothing really to set them apart too much. It's an isometric camera, top down. It's scrolling with you as you walk around. So the really stunning viewpoints, I think, come from a lot of the cities that you enter and things like that. So it's, I don't know what you do differently in the caves and stuff, but overall, I'm glad that I finally beat Star Ocean, the Second Story. I think the remake did a fantastic job.
I have a question about the combat. So what happens is, it being very active, like you enter a limited arena, right? This whole concept was very foreign to me. The turn-based, you're on one side, they're on the other, it was very familiar, and I guess I liked it because I felt uncomfortable when we was in this 3D action oriented space. The JRPG spin on this concept in games like Tales series and things like that, I never vibed with it. Kingdom Hearts was a big like no for me. I was like, I don't like this. And then I saw that Final Fantasy Remake adopted a option because they have turn-based, and then they have these little arena things, and I'm like, this is so weird, but it looks great when you're in the combat. So this has that open, active, little limited arena. What I don't understand about the game, I played the demo. Try the demo. It's out there, and it's great. It gives you a decent chunk to sink your teeth into.
Yes.
When the battle begins, you start in like your edge or your corner, and then you kind of, I guess you're supposed to run up to the enemies. It just felt so weird to have to do that. Is that what what does the game want you to do in the beginning? Like, I didn't really understand that. When you begin combat, you basically have to close the gap, which felt very odd. Is that what's supposed to happen, or am I missing something?
I think that's what's supposed to happen. So it depends on who you're playing as. Claude is you have the choice to start with either Rena or Claude, and then you see the story from their perspective. A lot of the main events are the same, but you get to experience what they would see as the story goes on. And when you get into combat, Claude is a much more close range sword fighter type person, but then Rena is more of a mage. In fact, like she's more of a healer, really. So that ability to start separate gives you an opportunity to, if you want to cast a spell, if you want to, because if you want to cast a spell, there's time that needs to pass. You can get
you have to what is that called, cast time or whatever it is?
Yeah, cast time. And if you get hit, that cast time, you it breaks your focus. You have to go find somewhere else to stand and hopefully not get hit or have an enemy get distracted by another player and stuff. So the combat actually does allow you to implement some strategy for a little bit. But what I found is that by the end of the game, there were combat scenarios that were so bonkers. There's spells popping off left and right because you only control the one character. You have the ability to cast spells for your other characters, but you have to bring up a menu in combat and choose the spell and do that stuff. But if you're only controlling the one character, some of these like end game just like regular battles are lights popping off left and right. It's crazy. Like it
looks cool, man.
Trying to give yourself like an opportunity to get clear of enemies becomes a really big part of staying alive.
In the demo, I didn't have the opportunity to mess with it too much, but one spell just summons a big ball that just does an AoE, and I'm like, that is just such a cool skill, and I like those very cool weapons, cool skills that you don't often see, and I feel like this game has that, I don't want to say weird factor, but unique and fresh take on skills, which I was like, this looks fantastic. So yeah, I'm very exciting for me. I'd like to pick it up. I think on sale is where I would get me.
Yeah, and that again, I would recommend anybody who is on the fence, just like you said, do try out the demo. The demo's out there. It does exist. It lets you play a good chunk, and at least it's also a way for you to experience that perspective because you get to visit Arlia, which I think it's Arlia, the first town in the game, and it lets you see.
Yeah, it
really shows off the beauty of the game.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Mega Dads Live. Reminder, next week there is not a normal episode like this. We are doing the live community watch along of the Mega Dads holiday special right here at youtube.com/megadads. It's going to be Friday, December 22nd at 8 p.m. Everybody's invited. We hope to see you there. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.